Hello everybody, Nathan here, and today I'm bringing you my first impressions on a new game just about to come out on Steam on August the 11th on Early Access, called Copy Kitty. It's from a company called Nuclear Strawberry, who I can't remember seeing a game from before, but with all that being said, let's get straight into it. Now, normally with these videos I like to commentate over the top of them while I play the game live, but unfortunately with this game I really suck at it, so I'm going to have to just play some background footage and talk over the top of that. So, all that being said, what is Copy Kitty? Well, it's a retro-style action platformer with a large focus on combat. As you might notice from the screen now, you are a little cute kitty, and the name comes from the fact that you can copy the attacks of your enemies after you kill them. Now, the basic attack is very weak, so you're going to want to grab whatever you can from your enemies. It all takes place in a simulation that is provided to you by, I think, your uncle as a gift to improve and hone your superhero powers. But of course, Bocky, which is the name of the main kitten character, isn't overly impressed with that, and for some reason thinks it's not cool to shoot stuff at enemies out of her hands and explode them and stuff. Very odd. Pretty weird and kind of cool, I like it. Now, that combat has quite a lot of combat effects. There are exploding shots, things that deflect and shoot off in all different directions, and there are a lot of things to explore and discover in terms of how you can kill your enemies. As I said though, the basic attack is incredibly weak, and you'll want to get whatever you can as soon as possible to take on anything bigger. Now, the level is also destructible, which is kind of cool, or certain parts of it are anyway, and you can kick through parts of the floor to get to different enemies or to attack from a different angle, and all of that really adds to the feeling that the game is allowing you some kind of freedom to do what you want to do. Now, most of your enemies are fairly basic. They do have different types. Some will come at you and explode, others will shoot beams at you from afar, and there are different ways to take them out. But when you get to a big boss fight, that really kicks things up a bit. Now, I've only had one boss fight so far, but he had several different movesets and sort of dashed around to my location at times. At other times he imploded in on himself and shot out a massive ray that hurt me if I touched it, and you have to really think about what you're doing in order to actually beat those bosses. They are really fun, at least the one that I played against was anyway, and from what I've seen of the screenshots that came with the press kit for this one, the future bosses look awesome, and I'm actually going to keep playing to just to get to those bosses, even if I didn't like the game, which, by the way, I don't know whether you can tell by now, but I do like the game. But even if I didn't, I'd keep playing just to get to those bosses because they look to have some awesome designs. Now, obviously with any game, it's not all fun and roses and isn't this brilliant. There are some negatives, and for me personally, one of the things that makes me suck at this game, which is why I'm not playing it live, is the fact that a lot of stuff happens on the screen at all times. You will do well to be able to track your character and track every bullet that is flying at her at the exact same time. It seems like it's almost like a bullet hell element to it, where instead of focusing on attacking your enemy, you're more focusing on avoiding their stuff that's thrown at you. Now, I think I would like that toned down a bit. In games that we've seen this year, such as Battleborn, totally different game, I realise, the main issue was that you couldn't always tell what was happening on the screen, and I get this a little bit with this one too, to the extent where I think there might even need to be a seizure warning on this, because there are a lot of flashing images, and when you finish a level, even a rainbow shot comes out of your final enemy and flashes, and it's really difficult to track what's going on. Also, I'm not a big fan of the look of this game. Now, I realise that is an incredibly subjective thing to say, but personally I don't find it pleasing on the eye. It's retro themed and I get that, but there are certain ways to do retro that are nice and, how do I put this, kind of more intriguing, whereas this in the background, there are a lot. I realise it's in a simulation, but there's a lot of digital effects, and the main character is just solid colours, and I would like to see more texture to that character. Now, as I say, very subjective, and some people watching this might be thinking, no, that looks fine, Nathan, I don't know what you're talking about. In fact, I love it. And that's fine, I'm just giving you my opinions on that. In terms of technical issues, not really many. The game runs at a solid 60 frames per second and is locked there, which is absolutely fine. The game does, however, run, for me at least, with black bars down the side, as if it was for 3x4 resolutions. Now, I've set it in the settings to fit my native resolution or to fit to monitor. There are no actual resolution options in the game if you want to play full screen. There are if you want to play windowed, but not full screen, which is a little bit odd, but even the windowed won't let you have 1080p. So my assumption was that the game was just going to let you play technically in 1080p, but with black bars down the side. And then I watched the recording I had of the game, and it stretched it to 1080p. So what you're seeing right now is not what you'll actually get in the game. You'll actually get something a little more like this. Yep, that's about right. I will change it back now just so that you don't have to watch it with black bars all the time. But I found it a little bit odd, and I don't see why they'd have black bars unless it's some kind of stylistic choice. But to be honest, there's a reason that we like to use 1080p monitors now, and it doesn't need to take you back to 1995 and say, well, here you go, that's what the style was then. Styles have changed, and I feel the game could have moved on with them. In terms of other technical things that I feel need mentioning, I would highly recommend that you use a controller for this one. Not saying it doesn't work on keyboard and mouse, but honestly I gave up very, very quickly trying to learn where to put my fingers and other stuff like that. It just didn't feel quite right there. It felt a hell of a lot better when I plugged in my 360 controller and just tried to do it on that. That does come with its own issues though, in that a lot of the game is focused around the combat, and you'll have to aim at enemies using your left thumbstick. Now unfortunately, the game only has digital aiming input, which means it only has 8 directions, and therefore an enemy can easily be between 2 of the directions that you can actually hit, so you'll have to move if you want to actually aim at them, which kind of sucks a little bit, because numerous times I've found myself in a situation where I've been close enough to an enemy to kill them, but I can't get my aim precisely on them due to that restriction. Not a huge thing, and to be honest I think the same would happen with keyboard and mouse, so I don't think that's a problem solver there. Just something I wish was fixed and made into a 360 degree aiming circle. But overall though, I think this is actually quite a fun little game. I have rather enjoyed my time with it, and I'm going to carry on playing it. I've only reached so far about World 2-2, I think that's how they do the leveling system in this one, where that's the second level in the second world part of the game. And that's about an hour in, and I still feel the desire to keep playing and to progress and see what's coming. Not only, like I say earlier, for those bosses, which look awesome, but actually because even the standard levels are quite a lot of fun. They'll only take you maybe 5 minutes per level, but that's enough. It's just a quick burst of fun, and then you can go off and do something else. Now the game comes in at a $9.99 price point. I'm not sure about euros or pounds, but I actually think that's quite a decent price point for a game like this. They're not asking for a great deal. And if you wait for a sale even, you could get an absolute steal here, because this is a really solid game that I have really enjoyed. Now when the embargo on this one lifts, the game should be out, so if you're watching this video, the game should be out by now and you can actually buy it. And I would recommend that if you like what you see here, go and have a look, because it actually plays really, really nicely. And if it looks like something you're into, then why not? So quite a short version of one of these videos then. It turns out that if I'm not playing the game, I don't ramble on quite as much, but there you go. I hope that gave you a decent first impression of what's going on in Copy Kitty, which is still a name that actually slightly annoys me. But then again, the developer is Nuclear Strawberry, which is just an awesome name, so that kind of makes up for it. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below, I'd be very appreciative of that. Leave a comment, let me know what you're thinking about the game. That was a very weird sentence, but you know, I accept it. And subscribe for more like this in the future if you haven't already. Anyway, I've been Nathan, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.